In this lecture, we are going to create a CanActivate route guard in order to protect the courses route from unauthorized access. Currently, if I go to our application, you will notice that currently in this application, no user is logged in. And an anonymous user can go ahead and he can visit this courses page. Now, when this anonymous user visits this courses page, he will not see any courses or he cannot create a course or edit or delete a course. So if a non-logged in user cannot see the courses or create or update a course, then there is no need to allow the anonymous user, the non-logged in user, to access this courses link, right? So for that, what we can do is, let's go to our application and there, let's go to header component, and in there, I'm going to hide this courses link from non-logged in user. So for that, first of all, let me move these attributes in a separate line to make it more readable. Okay, and here I'm going to copy this ngIf condition and I'll paste it here. So what it will do is the anonymous user will not be able to see this courses link. Only if a user is logged in, he will be able to see this courses link. With this, if I save the changes and if we go to our application, you'll see that now the courses link is not visible. So let me go to the home page first. You will see that for a non-logged in user, for an anonymous user, the courses link is not visible. But if a user logs in, so for example here, let me go ahead and let me log mark@gmail.com, and for him the password is test1234. If I log in this user, the user is logged in, and since a user is logged in, this courses link is visible, and this logged in user can visit this courses link and he can see all the courses, and if he want, he can create, update or delete a course. But if a user is not logged in, so if I log out from here, in that case, that courses link is not visible. Now the problem is here we have hidden the courses link, but the anonymous user can also try to access the courses page by simply typing the URL for that courses page, which is root.url/courses. And you see, now he can go to the courses page, even though he will not see any courses or update or delete a course, but he can access the courses page. So we also want to avoid this. And for that, we are going to create a CanActivate route. For that, let's go to VS Code and let's go to auth folder. Inside that, we have the services folder. In there, I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to call it as auth.guard.ts. And here we are going to create a authGuard function. So here, let's go ahead and let's create and export a variable. Let's call it maybe authGuard. And this authGuard is going to be of type CanActivate function. Okay, to this, let's assign a function. Here I'm going to use the arrow function syntax. Okay, and this function, it is going to take two parameters. Before that, here I have used this export 2 times. Okay, and we need to import this CanActivate function from Angular/router. All right, now this function is going to take two parameters. The first parameter will be of type activated route snapshot. This also we need to import from Angular/router. And the second parameter is going to be of type state. I mean, we're calling it as state, but the type here is going to be router state snapshot. All right. Now from within this function, we need to return true if we want to allow a user to access a given route. For now, let me simply return true from here. Okay, let's save the changes. And now let's go to the courses folder, and in there we have this courses module.ts, right? And here we are creating this route, this courses route. On this, I'm going to add CanActivate property, and to this I'm going to assign an array, and inside that array we are going to use our authGuard function, and to use it we also need to import it. With this, if I save the changes and if we go to our application, and here if I try courses, you can see any user can access this courses route, but from within this auth.guard, if I return false, if I save the changes and here, if I try to go to courses, you see, I'm not able to access the courses page. Even if I write it in the URL, it is not taking us to the courses page. Okay, so if you want to allow access to a given route, you can return true from this auth.guard. But if you don't want to allow access to anyone to a given route, you can return false. But here we are going to return true or false based on a given condition. So let's go ahead and let's write the logic for that. So here the first thing which we are going to do is we are going to inject an instance of store inside this file. So here I'm going to create a variable. I'll call it as store, which is going to be of type store, and to use it we also need to import it. And in order to tell Angular that it has to inject an instance of store class inside this, we are going to use this inject method, which we are going to import from angular/co, and there we are going to specify the type, which is store. Okay, so in this way we will have an instance of store inside this file. Next, what we are going to do is, so by default I will return true, but before this I'm going to call this dot store dot select. Okay, here we don't need to use this keyword because it is a variable. So here you can say store dot select, and here I want to select get logged user selector. This is going to return us an observable. On that, I'm going to use this pipe operator of RxJS. Okay, and inside that, first I'm going to use this map operator. Again, to this map operator, we are going to pass a callback function, and this map operator is going to receive the data which this get logged user selector is going to emit. It is going to emit us the logged in user data. So if no user is logged in, it will emit null. Otherwise, it will emit logged in user data. So here, let me call it as user. And to use this map operator, we also need to import it from RxJS. Okay, now inside this map operator, we are going to check if the user exists. So if this user is not null or undefined, in that case, we want to redirect the user to the courses page. But let's say if no user is logged in that case, this user will be null. So if the user is null, all we want is we want to redirect the user to the login page. And to do that, here I'm going to use this return, and then we are going to use an instance of router. So for that, again, I'm going to create another variable. I'll call it as router, which is going to be of type router. Okay. And to use this router, we also need to import it from angular/router. As you can see, this router is imported from angular/router. And here, again, I'm going to use the inject function to inject an instance of router class. All right. And now here I can say router. So it should be router dot, and on this we have a method called createUrlTree, and to this we can pass an array, and inside that array we can specify to which URL do we want to redirect the user. So here I'll specify auth comma login. Okay, and from here let's specify the return keyword. Okay, here itself I will write the else condition, and from here we are going to return true. Okay, so if no user is logged in, we want to redirect the user to the login page. But if a user is logged in, then he should be able to access that route on which we are using this auth.guard. Currently, we are using this auth.guard on this courses route. With this, let's save the changes. Let me save this authguard.ts file. Let's go to our application. And here, currently no user is logged in. So if I try to access the courses link, we should be redirected to the login page, but that is not happening. The courses page is not accessible, but if a non-logged in user is trying to access the courses page, he is not being redirected to login page. Let's see why is that. Let's go to our application. Okay, the problem is these two variables we need to create inside this authGuard function. So at this line, okay, otherwise it will not work. Let me save the changes now. Let's go to our application. And now if I try to access root URL/courses, so just notice that no user is currently logged in. So if I try to access this courses link, the courses route, we are redirected to login page. So that is working. But if I log in, let's say using john@gmail.com, and let's specify a password for this user, which is test1234. If I log in this user, the courses link is visible. And if I go to the courses link, I can access this route URL/courses. So in this way, we have added an auth guard on this courses link so that if a non-logged in user tries to access this link, try to access this root URL/courses route, he will be redirected to login page. But if a user is logged in, then that logged in user should be able to access this courses route. And this we have achieved with the help of this CanActivate route guard. Now here we have created this CanActivate route guard using this CanActivate function. But in the previous versions of Angular, you can also create a CanActivate route guard by creating a service class which implements from CanActivate interface. But that approach is deprecated in Angular 16, and that's why I'm using this approach. Alright, so this is all from this lecture. If you have any questions from this lecture, then feel free to ask it. Thank you for listening and have a great day.